Classic Movie Gush. I'm Clay Morgan with Melissa Tagg. Hello, Melissa Tagg.
Hey, what's up?
Well, we get to talk about a movie I've been excited to watch again. It is definitely one of the best movies of all time. I think when we say best movies of all time, that could be like top like 50 or 100. There's so
Yeah.
many movies. So I mean, at the same time, people could rank these things in the top 100 consistently. That's pretty good. Sometimes we just do a classic movie that's just a movie to do, but this is really one of the great ones, and it is Sunset Boulevard from 1950, a phenomenal film, a historical film. We'll talk about some of the feats of this movie, and really a scandalous movie. It was quite the shocking expose of how Hollywood treats its own, or you could even say eats its own. Certainly, maybe I guess you would say a commentary on how Hollywood could easily discard its stars of the past. And it's a tragic tale, Sunset Boulevard is. So you had seen this movie before, but you kind of forgot how much you liked it.
Yeah, well, I can't believe I haven't watched it again recently because I love classic movies. And if you love classic movies, this is a really fun movie to watch because A, it is a classic movie, but also B, it has so many throwbacks to golden era Hollywood. And yeah, it's really cool that way.
It's
It
so
has
meta.
lots of cameos and
And that's
yeah.
really the shocking thing about it, as we'll see. So the movie was directed by Billy Wilder, starring Gloria Swanson in one of the most, I guess, engaging performances of all time. You cannot take your eyes off of her.
hmm
And I don't know what it is about this repulsive character. She sucks you in, right?
Yeah, she's
And
completely
it's so
unhinged
crazy.
and not in a good way, but yet,
But you feel
yeah,
for her at all the right
yeah.
moments.
Mhm.
And you can understand how these two men um, are unable to break the spell, as it were. So break down if you can the synopsis here. What's the setup?
So when the movie opens, Joe Gillis is talking and he's narrating. Joe Gillis is played by William Holden, and you know from the very start of the movie that basically the dude's gonna die, and this is the story
Whoa,
of
whoa, whoa,
how
whoa,
and
whoa!
why.
You
What?
don't
Yeah.
you don't. Okay, well maybe everybody knows that, but I mean I'm not saying you gave away a spoiler. The first time I
Okay.
watched it, the opening scene is body in a pool. But I suppose you can't really be sure that it's him. There's a guy in a pool, and he's
Yeah.
narrating. So you're kind of thinking, well, that can't be him because he's if he's dead, how is
He's
he narrating?
talking. Okay. Okay, I will revise my synopsis. There's a guy in a pool. He may or may not be dead. You're really not sure. But he starts out narrating the movie, and he is basically a down on his luck Hollywood writer. He's been writing B movies, and he doesn't have any money. And his car is about to get repossessed. And so the movie starts with him a way to save his car, kind of. And he's going away from the people that are going to take his car away from him, and he ends up parking in a garage of what he thinks is an abandoned old beautiful house, kind of like old Hollywood mansion. It turns out to be the house of an old star played by Gloria Swanson. She was a silent movie star, and the parade has passed her by, and she's writing a movie. And she finds out that he's a writer and an editor and talks him into staying and editing this movie, and he doesn't have anywhere to go and he has no money, and so he's just like, sure. And he ends up basically becoming her kept man, which is kind of, nice. And
Gigolo.
yeah, basically. And so he's helping her write this movie that he knows will never be made. Here is the big spoiler. When he tries to leave her, she does kill him. So,
It has that voiceover narration similar to the noir, Double Indemnity, which was also a Billy Wilder film. We've talked about him a couple times,
yeah.
and William Holden was a famous actor, but 1950 was the year that took him to like international ridiculous stardom, and a lot of it had to do with Sunset Boulevard.
Mhm.
The
Yep.
crazy thing, I looked this up, right? So Gloria Swanson was really a silent star,
Mhm.
and Eric von Stroheim, who plays the butler Max, really was one of the famous early directors of the 1920s. It was Cecil B. DeMille, D.W. Griffith, and von Stroheim. And it's really amazing, and it really was shocking to people at the time how autobiographical this was.
Yep.
Gloria Swanson she had taken 2 roles in 17 years by the time she came back. So as the movie is about Norma Desmond reappearing, being found, it's really Gloria Swanson playing her, who's also doing the same thing. And the butler Max, Eric von Stroheim, who is just incredible in this movie, he really had also fallen away. He had only done a couple of films after the silent era ended, and he had been relegated to, sadly, just kind of like bit parts, and he played a lot of Nazi, kind of conspiratorial roles. So there's so many things in this film. It's one of those ones where you watch it a second and third time, and especially if you're like Googling while you're watching it, it's just like, wow, I can't believe all of the meta stuff happening here. And Holden, for his part, what he's doing, he's a pretty sad character. I mean, he's shady. He's taking.
Yeah.
There's really a kind of a dark world here, but we go into it willingly, and there's just nothing like Swanson. She has these incredible lines. It's almost like so caricature it should be a joke, but because of where the movie takes it, it works, right? So what are some of your favorite Gloria Swanson, Norma Desmond moments?
Well, there's so many good ones. I love it when she gives her script to William Holden's character, he's reading it and he's just like, this thing's a mess. And he doesn't really say that to her, but he's just like, yeah, it needs a little work. It needs some dialogue. And she says a line that I just adore. She's like, why? I can say anything I want to with my eyes. And I just love it because she's like in her own world, and she just believes that she is amazing. She believes that everybody loves her and wants to see her. And then she says another line about dialogue later. Something like, we didn't need dialogue back then. And she's talking about the silent movie era. We had faces.
Such a great line.
We had faces. But the freakiest part for me, it's when, so I didn't explain this in the synopsis, but William Holden's character, while he's living with Gloria Swanson, runs into this writer at a party, and they start working on a different script together, and he's kind of sneaking out of Norma Desmond's house to go work on this other script and slowly falling for this other girl. And so obviously Gloria Swanson, Norma Desmond is very upset about this, and she goes and she calls this other girl at one point in the movie, and the line where she's calling this girl's house and she asks for, I think her name is Betty Schaefer. The look on her face when she says that line is, like, to me, the freakiest moment in the movie, because she's just, by that point, she's lost it completely.
She's scary.
She really is scary.
That's Nancy Olsen, who was also nominated for supporting actress. She gets so freaky throughout this film.
She just gets worse and worse.
You can actually see the blueness of her eyes in black and white film, and it's so unusual. I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, the eyes really have it with this one.
You know who her eyes remind me of? She reminds me of the cartoon, The Emperor's New Groove. The lady in that.
You know my theory. This is like just smacking me in the face as I'm watching this film again. Madeline Kahn, our favorite from What's Up, Doc, in one of my 5 favorite comedies of all time, Clue.
Which I haven't seen.
I cannot believe you haven't seen Clue.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Okay, so I have to hear, first of all, if you're out there watching this, have you seen Clue? What is wrong with Melissa Mac? But
I'm so sorry.
Mrs. White, Madeline Kahn is Mrs. White, and as soon as Gloria Swanson comes on the screen, I'm like, oh, that's it. That has to be who Madeline Kahn was totally charactering. And I've looked it up, and I can't find any, I just thought it was so obvious, there's going to be verification. And William Holden encounters her, and he's, figuring out, oh, you're this famous. And he said, you used to be big. And she says, I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
Yeah. She has so many good lines.
it's the rebellion against really the passage of time, the advancing
Mhm.
technology. Everything is new. Cecil B.
Yeah.
DeMille, the legendary director, he's a character in the film. He's
Mhm.
a focal point for her because she thinks I was always one of his greatest stars, and he's going to make this new movie I wrote. And he also appears when she finally goes to Paramount. So, like you said, it's also a snapshot into the characters, and we get to like see the Paramount lot of that
Mhm.
time period.
Which is
That's
very
really
cool.
cool, and it's just so amazing. But it's also sad, and they had they actually had a round table, like when there's this scene where she's playing cards. What did you say they're called?
Mhm.
The
The
waxworks?
waxworks.
Like
Yeah.
really offensive, basically saying like
Yeah.
these old relics. And who's sitting at the table but her card partners? Norma Desmond's card partners are like Buster Keaton and H.B. Warner's in there, who played Mr. Gower most famously probably in It's a Wonderful
Mhm.
Life. And
And another girl.
yeah, I forget the other one's name. I didn't know her so well. But they were all
Yeah.
very famous actors of the silent age. And here they are just kind of passing the time in silence.
Mhm.
So,
I wonder what it would be like to be those actors and actresses playing that role in this movie and knowing that what their role was saying about them. Like, don't you think that would have been kind of humbling to make that cameo in the movie and basically acknowledge yourself? Like, yeah, I'm past my prime, and now I'm in a movie that's basically saying that I'm past my prime.
well,
Like, that'd be.
who was the executive? One of the big ones, like Warner or someone, right? Just like lost his mind when he saw a screening of this.
Yeah,
He
got
was so
super angry.
enraged. There was a lot of that. People were just like insiders were like, oh my goodness, like this all happened. Like these people, I guess Montgomery Clift, who didn't want to play the role that William Holden took, one of the reasons he didn't want to is because it was too close to reality of an affair he had with somebody or
Yeah,
something like
some
that.
older lady, older singer or something. Yeah.
Man. Um, so the movie's moving towards this incredible, probably one of the most famous closings of all time. But before we get
Mhm.
there, um, I was just thinking about Max, right? In real life,
Yeah.
Eric von Stroheim had directed Gloria Swanson in a silent film. What was it called?
I don't know,
Queen,
but
Queen
yeah,
something.
they show part of it in the
And
movie,
they're
which is kind of
watching
cool.
it.
Yeah.
So in the story, basically she has this movie theater in this like palatial estate nobody ever comes into,
Mhm.
and she watches herself on screen. It's very disturbing and sad. And so for one moment, Max runs the camera, and she is standing in front of herself, and it's really unbelievable to think that she was willing to go there, but she just played it so perfectly. But at one point, she was really playing herself.
Mhm.
Um, and then it kind of gets a fun part. I was thinking about one of my favorite scenes, and she gets worried that he's bored, so she kind of like puts on shows
Yeah.
for him. So
Yeah.
she does the old silent routine. She spins the umbrella and bats her eyes, and she's does not a bad
She,
Charlie Chaplin
yeah, she's
impersonation.
right. She's not too bad at that.
I thought it was pretty
Yeah, that
good.
I was laughing like crazy at that part because it's like for a second you're lifted out of this movie. It was kind of weird, but cool. Yeah.
She just so desperately wants to be accepted, and
Mhm.
here comes this young guy. Obviously, William Holden's a good-looking guy, and he's this tanned California boy at the pool. But for her, she wants him to keep her young, and he even
Mhm.
says it kind of near the end. He says there's nothing tragic about being 50. It's only tragic if you try to pretend you're still 25.
Yeah, that was a
And
good line.
yeah, she needs him to make her uh, believe that she is still desirable. She wants so badly to believe that there are still 10,000 pieces of mail coming in, which I guess is real. That's what she really did get back in the
Mhm.
1920s.
Yeah.
And then we come to find out some startling plot
Yeah.
twists. Not only is Max the butler still sending her the letters pretending they're fresh, but he
Mhm.
is in fact her first husband.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I think he's one of the more. I think he's the most sympathetic character in the movie, actually, because you're just like this.
Definitely.
He's like just as caught in the past as she is, but yet he's not. He hasn't lost it. He still has touch with reality, but yet he's so nostalgic for the past, and he's hanging on to her, choosing to be her servant just so he can stay in her world. watching her run around with this younger guy. I mean, he's a kind of a sympathetic character. And the shot of him at the end, which I know we'll talk about the closing scene, but the shot of him at the end watching her at her worst is like, it's kind of heart-tugging.
He definitely is the key to the whole movie, I think. But I think he also does believe that she is the greatest. And, you know,
Yeah.
part of me used to think that he was just trying to sell that to her to keep her from hurting herself again. But I think he really does. He loves her so much, he's willing to stay in that humbling capacity just to keep her going and to keep her believing in this way. It's strange. The love stories throughout this movie are kind of twisted love stories.
Yeah, nobody really gets a happy ending.
No, you're right. Except maybe young Betty, who goes off to Arizona to what's his name?
Artie. Maybe she's finally happy with Artie.
Yeah. Who is that? Jack Webb. That was a young Jack Webb.
Yeah.
Of future Dragnet fame, I believe. Sunset Boulevard became the second film with nominations in every acting category to not win a single one. The first one being, as you told me,
My Man Godfrey.
from 1936.
Yep.
And here is some breaking news, although this video will be coming out a little bit later in a few days. But the Academy Awards just wrapped up and put American Hustle in that, I guess, not so happy category. American Hustle had Best Actor, Best Actress, Supporting Actor and Actress, and didn't win any of them. And that's what Sunset Boulevard did. And the reason Gloria Swanson, in this role of a lifetime performance, did not win is because she was beat out by Judy Holliday from one of my new all-time favorite movies, Born Yesterday, which we are going to be talking about before too long.
I don't think I've seen that one either.
I just found it over the classic movie Gush break. I am so excited about Born Yesterday, so we're going to definitely talk about it.
Yay.
It's amazing. So think about it. Like, who could beat Gloria Swanson in a role like this? That's how good it is.
And William Holden was the leading male in that movie as well.
So what were you telling me? William Holden,
Yeah.
his two leading ladies in 1 year were up for Best Actress.
Yes, in 1950, and then again in 1954, he played opposite Audrey Hepburn in Sabrina and Grace Kelly in Country Girl, and they were both nominated. So
both times one of his leading ladies won.
Yep.
Who won? Grace Kelly won, and then Judy Holliday won. Oh, I can't even wait till you see Born Yesterday. But
I'm excited to watch it.
I digress.
So I have to watch Born Yesterday and Clue.
That's like an incredible weekend right there. I am so happy. Let me ask you this. Cecil B. DeMille said this once. A picture is made a success not on a set but over the drawing board. What do you think of that quote, and what do you think of Joe Gillis's comments to his young writer girlfriend in this movie that the actors, everybody thinks the actors make it all up?
Yeah.
What do you think they're trying to say here?
Well, actually, when I heard that, all I could think of was being a writer and thinking to myself, yeah, like how many times do people read books and they talk about the characters and all the things that go on the page, and they're forgetting that there was an author behind all those characters and organizing everything that goes on there. And so it's kind of true with movies, too. And it is, like, we watch a movie today, and a lot of times we remember the actor in the role. And really, it's, if the actor doesn't have good material, and if the writers didn't write an amazing story, and if the director didn't direct it with skill, and, you know, there's so much more than just the actor playing the part. So they have to have good material to work with.
Oh, by the way, that whole scene where Norma Desmond goes to visit Cecil B. DeMille, I didn't know this, but he refers to her as little fellow. That really was a term of endearment he used. And that really is a real movie. That was Samson and Delilah.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, they were actually filming that at the time.
Yeah, how crazy is that? Wilder
awesome.
goes in and, like, uses all this real-world stuff.
And you know what else about that scene? So Cecil B. DeMille was paid $10,000, and he got a brand new Cadillac for that little scene. And later on, Billy Wilder had to go back in and get a new close-up of Cecil B. DeMille, and so he charged him another $10,000 just for like a second close-up.
Wow!
I just want to be able to charge somebody for a close-up of me $10,000.
Wow! And I keep mentioning. Wow, that's crazy. Billy Wilder. Charles Brackett was his writing partner. They were the longest running writing team in Hollywood.
Yeah.
They were so famous that like when the trailer came out, it would say Wilder and Brackett. Like everybody just
Mhm.
knew who Charles Brackett was. They had done Double Indemnity together. I mean, think
Yeah.
about Billy Wilder did Double Indemnity, Some Like It Hot,
Yeah.
Stalag 17, which was also William Holden, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and I think William Holden, didn't he get a, I think he got an Oscar for that, an
was that
Academy
one? I
Award.
think so. That was like
I think he did.
1953 or something like that.
Yeah.
So just an amazing body of work that came
Yeah.
from Billy Wilder.
And then they broke up right after this movie, I think.
This was the last one they did together,
Yeah.
I believe. That's right. Last of many projects. So we come to the ending. Tell me your thoughts on this iconic film ending.
Okay, well, the way the film ends is William Holden has just decided he's out of there and he tries to leave. And Gloria Swanson, who has been threatening to shoot herself, instead shoots him 3 times and he ends up in the pool. And so the police come and there's tons of media there and there's cameras and photographers
And Hedda Hopper.
and Hedda Hopper makes a cameo and that's really cool.
She was
It's
a
funny.
famous gossip columnist, right?
Yeah, she used to be an actress and she was so they have a shot where the police are trying to make a phone call and she's on the phone and she's like, this is way more important. Anyway, they need to get Gloria Swanson downstairs so they can take her away. And she just becomes convinced that she's in a movie right now. And Max has a lot to do with that. He kind of, she thinks all the cameras and everybody's there to watch her film a scene, tells her that it's from her play, and so she descends the staircase, and the look on everybody else's faces is like one of pity, but she thinks she's acting out this amazing scene. And she gets down to the bottom of the stairs, and she makes a speech, and it's just pathetic, but amazing to watch because her acting is brilliant.
And
Yeah.
there's a couple of things that occurred to me this time. First of all, she thinks that she's playing Salome.
Yeah, yeah.
Salome. This is the movie that she wrote that she wants to be this in this
A
first
princess.
century story. Salome, who had John the Baptist, beheaded, and
Yeah.
that's first of all, that's who she's aspiring to play. It's a great role. But I was
Right.
thinking, as far as imagery goes, that stairwell, it's kind of like the final descent into madness, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
good point. Yeah.
by the time she reaches the bottom, she's now like speaking as if DeMille is right there.
Yeah.
And she's become completely unhinged by the time she hits the bottom, and then she kind of moves towards the camera. And Wilder he finishes with that incredible, like her chin up coming right at
Yeah.
you, and these like
It's
talons
freaky.
that she has. It was just
Yeah.
really poignant. You do not forget the ending of Sunset Boulevard
Yeah.
ever, and it's been 70 years.
Yeah. You might kind of have nightmares after it too. But yeah.
I love it. It's the mark of a great movie. It gets better and better
Yeah.
with age, and I don't know how some of those older directors did it, but they just made these
No, yeah.
movies that never stop being great.
Yeah, I read that after she filmed that scene, Gloria Swanson just burst into tears, like 'cause she was overcome by the part and the powerfulness of playing that last scene. I also read that when she's walking down the stairs, she was originally supposed to be wearing high heels, and she was like, I'm gonna die if you make me walk down the steps without being able to look where I'm walking, because the whole time she's walking down the steps, she's looking at the cameras and looking at what she thinks is her audience. So she did that barefoot, which I think just added to it, honestly, because you can see that she's barefoot when she does it. Yeah,
I
it was
didn't
an
notice
incredible
that.
scene. Hmm.
Interesting. Well, we got to get out of here, but Sunset Boulevard, an amazing film. My Entertainment Weekly book that ranks top 100 movies. They put it at number 28. It sounds about right. It's definitely closer to the top than not.
Yeah, I
I
would
would
say
say.
so too. Hmm.
But of course, that's out of all the movies of all time, and it's got to be up there.
Yeah.
So, any final
that's a good
thoughts
one.
on Sunset Boulevard?
Well, my thought is people really should watch it. It's really incredible. I think sometimes, here's my thought. I think sometimes people stay away from film noir because they want to watch a movie that makes them feel really good and feel happy or something. And this maybe isn't the movie that's going to make you feel happy, but it's so incredible and the acting is so amazing and there's so much more to it than, oh, that was a
It really
happy
is.
happy love story or something. It's really an incredible movie.
Yeah, I think it just says so much about how we try to hang on to what we identify ourselves with, and the fear of
Yeah.
aging, the fear of death,
Mhm.
and there's a lot about the human condition. You know, if everybody wants to write a story that reveals something about the human condition, well, this movie's got it in spades.
Mhm.
So check it
Yeah.
out. I think Sunset Boulevard, definite winner. And we'll be back next time with another film as soon as we figure out what that's going to be. I can't believe you've never seen Clue.
I really don't think I have. I don't remember it if I have.
All right, well, I'm going to make the world judge you. So,
Okay.
I mean, in a nice way.
You're gonna make the world judge me in a nice way.